Hey, Internet friends. Over Christmas, the technocratic billionaire elite took time out of their very busy, very Christian schedules to educate us about immigration policy. Elon Musk unexpectedly stated that he was in favor of hiring migrant workers for tech companies, since, quote, white men are dumb, end quote. His counterpart, the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, popped out of the woodwork to defend him, with Vivek saying, quote, American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence, end quote, as justification for tech companies hiring scores of migrant workers and paying them less than American ones. And people are mad, y'all. Particularly the America First crowd and the MAGA crowd, who were called stupid, racist, and trolls, and subsequently demonetized and deplatformed on X for disagreeing with Musk on his free speech platform. Of course. Today I'm going to cover this fallout, giving you the rundown of what you need to know, explaining the H-1B visa deception. And listen, we're going to cut the crap and speak very plainly and directly about what is really going on. No fluff, no feelings, no party lines, just the reality and the truth. So let's begin.
I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. It's very bad for business in terms of, it's very bad for our workers, and it's unfair for our workers, and we should end it, and we should end it, and we should end it.
On Christmas Day, Elon, father of nearly a dozen children by 3 different baby mamas, a billionaire CEO and now leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, somehow found time during his busy schedule to fire off a series of tweets about immigration and H-1B visas. From what I can tell, this started Christmas morning with Elon saying, quote, there is a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley, end quote. This was in reply to this fella saying, genuinely curious if there are actual instances where qualified native-born Americans couldn't get the jobs in tech because foreigners took all of them. Elon then spends the next several hours explaining why American workers aren't getting these jobs and introduces the discussion on how H-1B visas should be expanded, likening America to a sports team, saying, don't you want to win? If so, you need to hire the best, no matter where they're from. Later in the day, in reply to this guy saying white men aren't being hired anymore and giving his anecdote on the hiring process as a white man in tech, Elon Musk replied, we're just dumb, which is a direct quote, and many interpreted him as saying white men are just dumb in comparison to their immigrant H-1B visa counterparts who are chosen over them for these tech jobs. And of course, this whole workforce replacement is a growing concern, a very valid growing concern, because American jobs have been getting outsourced to other countries over the last few decades. And keep in mind, Trump campaigned in 2016 on ending H-1B abuse because it was driving down American salaries while creating a slavery class of foreigners for the tech overlords. And I was trying to piece together why Indians became the target of this discussion over other groups, and it's because they are by far the biggest recipients of the H-1B visas.
About, we want to get all this, and they're only geniuses. That's H-1B visas. That's not what it's about. It's about taking American jobs and bringing over essentially become indentured servants at lower wages. The whole thing's a scam. This thing's a scam by the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to basically take jobs from American citizens, give them to what become indentured servants from foreign countries, and then pay them less.
With an H-1B visa, U.S. companies can hire foreigners to do specialized jobs that need technical or, special education or knowledge. But some people are saying that H-1B visas are it's just a program for Indians. Essentially, since there are no requirements for companies to show that they looked for qualified Americans first before sponsoring H-1B visas. And it turns out, if you look at the charts, if you look at the numbers, Indian people get the majority of these visas. Now let's cut to a clip of this Doge counterpart, Vivek, and all the value he's given the American people in his career as a big pharma CEO.
I obviously can't speak for other companies other than Axovan, but what I can tell you is that RVT-101 is a unique drug that we actually think could help millions of patients with Alzheimer's disease. There's over 5 million patients who suffer from Alzheimer's disease in this country alone. And if you think about it, we own global rights to a drug that has already demonstrated in a large phase 2b study efficacy on the two parameters that the FDA has historically required for new Alzheimer's disease drugs. And actually, we believe we're only one additional phase 3 study away from the approval of this drug on a global basis.
First generation American, 2024 presidential candidate, and former big pharma billionaire, Vivek, decided to chime in, and he basically went on an immigrant supremacy tear where he said that in the 90s, America should have rooted for the nerd, but they rooted for Zach from Saved by the Bell. I guess he was backing up Elon in these statements, saying that American children shouldn't be having sleepovers or watching cartoons. They should be doing math like their superior immigrants do. And that the culture of the prom queen and popular jock has corroded American excellence and degraded the culture. Someone shove this guy into a locker or give him a swirly or something. You know, ever since I was a little girl, I rejected all sleepover invites because I knew I wanted to create shareholder value for big corporations. Anyway, shortly after, everyone began posting what big tech is actually paying the foreigners and visa hires, and surprise, surprise, it's much lower than the average American salary for those positions. So it's pretty obvious that this is just a way for big tech companies to exploit cheap labor. However, everyone who pointed this out, or people who said, hey, like, why don't you use the visas to hire, I don't know, excellent white Europeans for these positions? Those people were labeled racist and stupid by Elon Musk, and he ended up announcing that the X algorithm was being changed to bury certain users and boost trusted voices. Then people started claiming that their monetization got taken away, their blue check marks got taken away on this free speech app that they pay for, and a lot of accounts associated with America First were deleted. Then, this is so tedious, I debated on making this video or not, but I know there's a lot of confusion around this subject, and it is very important. Then a bunch of immigrant CEOs piped up and made it all about themselves, saying how they had to work 80 hours a week when they came to this country. And immigrant workers just work harder. They have higher IQs and aren't as entitled or lazy as their counterparts, aka whitey. I saw this really good response that reads, why wouldn't rich elites want to import the third world? Sure, your wages go down or you'll lose your job, but they cut their labor costs in half. Sure, your neighborhood will be turned into India, Somalia, Mexico, but they live in gated mansions. They win, you lose your country. The whole thing is BS, and the behavior of our lead technocrat is so obviously unprofessional and egocentric. I've never liked him. If you've been a part of this channel, you know I didn't like him, even though he did the virtuous good thing, seemingly good thing, great press, over buying Twitter. And I don't like Vivek, sorry. You're free to like either, should you choose, but they are institutional Bolsheviks on their way to create a worldwide technocratic authoritarian hellscape where, in a not too far off dystopia, the medicated and ultimately compliant working class is under complete surveillance and begging for scraps. I'm sorry, but Elon Musk's family or Vivek's family didn't fight and die for this country. They'll be the first ones to leave when they can't wring out one last drop of shareholder value or compliant slave loosh. It's the Industrial Revolution, but with iPad kid lack of emotional regulation and a surveillance state. But we still got to go down the timeline. Yesterday, Elon continued saying that those who are MAGA, who oppose his viewpoints, are contemptible fools who should be removed from the Republican Party and should be plucked out root and stem. He went on to clarify his statement, saying, quote, the contemptible fools I'm referring to are those in the Republican Party who are hateful, unrepentant racists. They will absolutely be the downfall of the Republican Party if they are not removed, end quote. As you know, I think several things the Republican Party has been co-opted, subverted, taken over. The other side, too, what is it? Wings of the same bird? There is an orchestrated effort, however, to make normal American views very moderate views, look extremist, and label it, far right, to scare people from voicing their opinions so they won't be labeled a bigot or a Nazi. But American jobs should be for Americans, and that is not an extremist view. It's just not. It's the most vanilla take ever. It's the base for it's like the core value. But however, here's one for you. The best and brightest Indians should stay in India and make India great. We're not importing any Swedes, apparently, but I mean, the Swedish should make Sweden a superpower. Have loyalty to your own country. I will not cheer on my own replacement. It's just that simple. And I don't appreciate the psychological warfare or the attempts at virtue signaling from people who dress up as the Baphomet and LARP as Tony Stark. But I digress. Elon Musk has crashed out ever since, deleting his replies left and right, saying now that those who oppose his views on immigration and these visas are racist. And I quote, "The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that make America strong, is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend." End quote. He is apparently quoting Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. Nerd. I don't care. I deleted my X subscription this morning. I was paying $11 a month for a check mark to boost my posts, which really didn't work, but I'll keep my $11 from now on. Here's the thing. A country should serve its people first and foremost. And I know we don't live in that reality, but that's what it should be doing, not replacing them and subverting them. Just go back to South Africa if you're just going to commit treason for personal profit. You too, Vivek, go back. Go back if you just want a caste of indentured servants. They got that there. You both bought your way into politics and influence anyways. And it's on the books, the history books you won't find at your local public school or your $40,000 a year colleges as the Great Replacement. Or look up Kalergi. I have a video on it if you want to learn more. What do you think, internet friends? Is Elon Musk right? Does America lack talent and therefore employers of Fortune 500 companies must outsource their labor through these visas? Or is something else going on here? I'll still post on X to get my message out there, but I'm going to focus more on posting on Gab. You can find me there as Really Graceful. Eventually, we're just going to need an underground soup can network of empty soup cans and strings to spread messages. But until then, thank you for subscribing, supporting my channel on Patreon, and buying my book, The Deep State Encyclopedia.